Good morning, Rabbi Isai. It gives the energy. Otherwise, Hayoim Tishov Esrim Yoim Sheim Arba Shevuos Yom Echad Lo Imer Bo Imer. It's unbelievable. There are 9 different places here in Israel, not 10, 9. We're looking for that center, but it's every single night in all these places. Some of them had 20 people last night. 2 places were packed. Even Telstone had like 8, 9 people. How many? Like it was very, very nice. Yair ben Chaim. Hello, Rabbi. This past Thursday we were called up again for reserve duty, round 4 on the Lebanon border. Thanks Hashem. Just like the previous rounds, we haven't missed a single day of Daf Yomi. I want to zoom in a second into this guy's shoulder. Look at that. I love this picture. It's one of my favorite. We haven't missed a single day of Daf Yomi, so between shooting ranges, guard duty, missions, and more, not a day goes by without the Daf. We pray for the merit of study. He wrote it in Hebrew. We will stand for the entire people of Israel, for the holy soldiers and the hostages, and especially for my dear son. He has a 5-year-old son that needs a refuah shleima, Noam ben Maria, for a complete and speedy recovery. With God's help, I hope to return to the base medrash soon. Yair ben Chaim, Battalion 8207. Check this out. Put on very high volume. This needs a lot of volume. You ready? Here we go. That's gunfire. It's kind of hard to learn like that, but he's learning. Listen, I like this one. Listen to this. Shalom and blessings. My 10-year-old son, Yehuda Scheinfeld, had the privilege of learning Daf Yomi with you since the middle of Sanhedrin. He really loved and connected with the phrase, it's not about the Daf, it's about the Yomi, and decided to engrave it on wood. I let him choose any font he liked from the huge selection on my computer, and when he found one he liked, he called me over, and to my great surprise, the name of the font was Vilna. It was very moving, not only because we live in Kaunas, Lithuania, just an hour and a quarter from Vilna, but especially because Shas Vilna is almost synonymous. It's synonymous there. Photos are attached. The kids that they live, this cool. They live an hour away from Vilna. The tzaddik over here. It's not about the daf. It's about the yoim. I guess it was written in Hebrew. This one. What else do we have? Oh, another reason why Daf Yomi is no good. But it's because I said in the beginning of share, these are the things that the Yissacher says. I wanted to share with you another reason why some people struggle with Daf Yomi. The individuals who face inner psychological difficulty in committing to something long term. In any area of life, they're excellent short distance sprints, but not long distance runs. For example, give them a book and they'll finish in a few hours, but give them the same book in 1 page per day. After a few days, they'll burn the book out of frustration. Recently, I heard a striking comment from a boy considered at risk. But to me, he gives voice to many youths and even adults around the world. The kid told him, instead of giving Ritalin to students, we should give LSD to the teachers. In other words, the classes are so boring, why would I be motivated to listen? Mendy Weiser directly addressed both of these issues. They're colorful, dynamic, and unpredictable. Each day there are novelties, interesting people, letters and stories from around the world, joke stories, tzaddikim, chizuk, all delivering a relaxed and uplifting atmosphere. There's a real sense of comradeship, whatever, a feeling of family, shared purpose, all which is true enjoyment. Learning gives strength to those who finally stay consistent. I'm not committing to finish Shas. I just want to listen to today's shir. I'm not committing to finishing Shas. I just want to listen to today's shir. Especially now that it's possible to pause the shir, speed it up, listen while multitasking. I'm attaching a quote from Chaim regarding the idea of learning under pressure. Thank you so much for everything. I've been with you since Perik Cheleg, and I eagerly look forward to the shir every morning on the Kailo website. With appreciation, AY for Bet Shemesh. So he sent me this together with this. This picture, I don't know if this is the picture, but I saw this with my own eyes. In Parnasa Yeshiva Taner, in the backyard, they had eucalyptus. What? This picture was taken almost 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I was in Parnasa Yeshiva Taner, and I saw this with my own eyes. In the backyard of Panovich, they had these eucalyptus trees, and he would come every sukkah and cut the branches for the schach. And then he, after being very tired, he rested over there. So I don't know if this is the year, it could be a year before, but I saw it with my own, I remember him doing this. And he looked similar to this. Anyway, Chaim says that you have to learn without pressure. I could learn 10 hours straight. only because I know I could get up whenever I want and leave. If somebody would tell me, you must sit here in this seat for 4 hours straight, I wouldn't be able to learn even for 1 minute. Anyway, okay, Rabbi, this was amazing. I want to show you a bunch of pictures from Dov Harris and the Chaver in London. Check this out. He made a fun siyum for Makis. I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures. Here they are, saying good morning, Rabbi Isai. He said over 300 people showed up to this. There's women, children, everything. But look why. First thing he did his own merch. And the balloons said it's not a... Here's the ice cream truck picture. I don't know who that guy is on the truck. I'll tell you. Look at this. He does? Uncle Duvie's. Chol V'Yisrael. Check this out. Yeah, this I thought was great. Noam, you're going to love this. Come and meet the MDY London ambassador for all your MDY needs. Daily reminders, useful daf tips. Listen to this. Scan to join MDY London retention WhatsApp group. They're taking it seriously over there. They had a whole table to meet the guy. Look what it says in the balloon. My father learns. My daddy learns the daf, it says here. Merkin Daf Yomi on the balloon. Kitzer, Geshmak stuff. And then this looks delicious. There's a candy floss, whatever that means. In London, they Yam Bam Bam. That's totally strange. That logic. Yam Bam Bam Bam. What's con candy? Yam Bam Bam Bam. What is it called? Yam Bam Bam Bam.
You added an extra bomb.
I added an extra bam. How does it go?
Yam Bam Bam.
Yam Bam Bam. Why 2 Bam Bams? Kacha. That's all he is. Don't ask kashas. Fisher Gross and his son Simcha make their siyum on the yard side of their son and brother Shalom Yishai Zechron Levacha Ben Yibal Chaim Yissacher Mordechai official Yehei Zichroi Baruch. This is Givaldik. There's a story when the Hilligir Badishiva saw a man greasing the wheels of his wagon while davening, exclaiming, "Wow, look how special this year did. Even while greasing his wheels, he also davens." Here we see Akiva, 10 years old, a Badishiva Einikel. Even while manning the grill, he chaps arai in some Torah. All the best. Abba Miller, President, Green Branch Management. This is for real. I don't think this is posed. Geshmak. We had a raffle yesterday with 550 people in there for a weekend. It was like $2,500 or something. A nice vacation in a Zimmer here. And who won? I don't know if I think he watches the Hebrew. כמה בהגרלה הזאת? זה הולך, 554, איזה יופי. Chaim Yosef Lev won. Givaldik, Rabbi Isai. The Masechta is sponsored by anonymous Hatzlacha bruchnius of Gashmias. Monthly sponsor leadership was Chaim Moshe leadership was Chaim Yosef Parnasa Birevach for Baruch Tzvi Nissim ben Shoshana Leah. Jeff's Gourmet, Los Angeles. Moshe Aron Miriam Landy for the Hatzlacha of all the children. ActualEyes in honor of David, Duvie, Merkin of Eastern Union and all the Silver Spring daffers. Weekly sponsor anonymous. Thank you MDY for the highlight of the Gemara. Never give up and always keep going forward. Daily sponsors in honor of the Renaissance man for one of the most powerful lawyers in Los Angeles. You hear that? That's Lou Shapiro, no? I think he called me the Renaissance man in the email. In honor of Shkoyach, in honor of the Renaissance man from one of the most powerful lawyers in LA, if he could say so himself. No, he said in the email that it's not, okay, whatever. Edelman family, in memory of Chaim Givaldik, thank you. In memory of Chaim, Feigenbaum, Chaim Yissacher, Ben Yechiel, Zedel, Dov, Zechron Levacha, Dov Miller, Ben Yom Miller, Geshmak to do the daf. Shaye Katz. In honor, huh?
I said I think Morty is on.
Morty who? Ah, very nice. Thanks for letting me know. In honor, it's these are the kind of things I need to know. In honor of my best brother-in-law, Mendy Weiser, that I got to join the daf with Rebelli. You like that one? Some people got it, some people didn't. May he continue with tremendous success in his new business, Mendel Style Events. MDY Kids Monthly, Innovations, Chus for Official Elchon and Akiva, Rifki and Mrs. Stefansky. Art of the Month, for Shleima, for Yehonatan Eitan Ben Basheva Bracha. For Schos, for Eli, and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torahs and enjoy so many, in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do.
Eli, we have a big announcement.
Yeah.
We had promised to make a donation if Bitcoin hit 100,000.
Ah, you're right.
It hit 100,000.
I don't know. I don't know that. Some guy wrote an email, right? That if Bitcoin hits 100, we get 50,000. If it hits 150, we get 100,000.
105.
So does it have to stay there for a certain time? I don't know who he is. I think I know who he is. So we're getting 50,000 now. Geshmak will pay for the safari. The boy said we have a moirdik that I love this sugya.
If it drops and keeps going back up, you'll keep getting 50s.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to daven that you go to 150. A lot of you will make money. All right, beautiful. Shkoyach. Rabbi say, if you remember, we had a gewaldige chiddush here in the Gemara. What happens when at the end of the year you have leftover carbon tumids? Yeah, the carbon that has a watch on it, you bring it every single day. You're going to have 4 left over, regardless of what you want to do. You're going to have 4 left over every year. What do you do with them? So Rabbi Yochanan says step 1 is the gizbar, the guy in charge of the tzedakah of the Beis Hamikdash, he purchases these animals which are red, they have gedusha on them, he purchases it with green or blue money from the Beis Hamikdash. He buys it with his own money. Then, so the gedusha leaves the animals and goes into the money. And that Rav Chisda didn't like. He says, gedusha lehechan azla. How could you get rid of gedusha if you have gedusha saguf, the most severe gedusha in a carbon? How do you get rid of it? How does it go? How does it transfer from the animal into the money? And if it does it apply to other things? Does it work anywhere else? I don't understand. Then he takes that money and he puts it in the old pile of the Machzah Shekel, the Tavshin Pei Dalet pile. And then with Tavshin Pei Hey money, he repurchases it. He takes these animals that are chulin and he buys them back. And he donates them and then they become part of the Beis Hamikdash. And now you can use it because the whole issue is you cannot use a carbon that was purchased with last year's money. It has to be purchased with this year's money. Here's a way how you get from a carbon purchased from last year's money to a carbon that was purchased with the brand new, shiny money in step 4. So Rav Chisda says, I don't like this. Who's your Rebbe? Tell your Rebbe, it doesn't make any sense. Mike says, I'm not going to listen to your Rebbe. Where did the Kedusha go to? So Rav says, what do you mean? What? The Mefurshim Mishnah, we do the same exact thing when it comes to Ketairos. Here it is. The guy who made the Ketairos, Beis Avtinos, is on the right. He's wearing the brown cloak. And the Gizber, here he is again with his white hat. He's in charge of the Beis Hamikdash. He has a problem. He has Ketairos left over from the previous year, purchased with the money of the previous year. You cannot use it the coming year because it's purchased with money from the previous year. So it's red. What he does is, he owes the Gizber money. He owes him money because the Beis Avtinos guy worked hard making the Ketairos. So the Beis Hamikdash owes him 12 mana. So he's going to pay him his salary with Beis Hamikdash money. Beis Hamikdash money is red. It has Kedusha in the money. But when they do something, they pay somebody's salary, it turns into green money. So now, he paid him and the money is green. Now with the green money, the Beis Avtinos man is going to purchase the Ketairos off the Beis Hamikdash. So what happens? Here it is, step 2. He takes the green money, gives it back to the Gizbar, and now the Ketairos turns green, the money turns red. He took chulin money, because it was his money. Anytime, let's say the Beis Hamikdash buys pizza from a pizza shop, the money they give the pizza shop becomes chulin. That's how it works. That's how they donate. You donate money that the Beis Hamikdash could buy stuff. They could buy wood. They could buy animals. Whatever they buy, the person receiving the money, it doesn't remain kaddish in his hands. It turns into chulin. Now he has the chulin money. This Beis Avtinos man, he goes ahead and he buys the Ketairos back from the Gizbar. Then, in step 3, now the Beis Avtinos has Ketairos in his possession. So the Beis Hamikdash buys it off of him, buys it back from him with new money. So now the Beis Avtinos man has money for working, he has a salary, and the Beis Hamikdash took back the original Ketairos that didn't have Kedusha for a moment, and now it has Kedusha, and it was purchased with the brand new money. Rashi just says all these steps, Mr. Avtinos in the brown doesn't exist. He's not in the picture. We put him in the picture so you see how it works. All this happened between the Gizbar. The Gizbar takes one hand, he says, okay, this is Beis Avtinos. Now Beis Avtinos, okay, now he bought it back. Okay, fine. And the Beis Avtinos agrees to all this. He doesn't have to be in the picture. But that's not the point. What do you see over here? You see that you have Ketairos that is Kedushas Haguf, and somehow the Beis Hamikdash was able to transfer the Kedushas Haguf into money. And the Kedushas Haguf, the Ketairos became chulin. Anybody can use it. The Beis HaMikdash went ahead and they repurchased it. So what do you saw? You're shocked by Rabbi Yochanan's halacha that on a carbon tamid, which is a tzibur carbon, it's for the community, you could transfer kedusha. Here, K'taris is also for the community, and you could transfer kedusha. So the Gemara says in the last words in the bottom, 2 last words in the top, Shani K'taris, the kedusha is damimi. Don't bring me a raya from K'taris, because K'taris doesn't have that powerful kedusha that a carbon has. There's 2 levels of kedusha, we said. There's kedushas haguf, that's the most severe kedusha that only a carbon has. And then you have something called kedushas damim. It's kadosh, but it's much lower. We're going to see, you're not going to believe this, even a paraduma, famous paraduma, which costs millions, only has kedushas damim, doesn't have the severe, the top level. Oh, kedushas damim, if Beis HaMikdash owns a donkey, what are you gonna put a donkey on a mizbeach? What are you gonna do with a horse? You sell it, you redeem it. You're allowed to redeem kedushas damim. Anything that the Beis HaMikdash owns can be redeemed. You could transfer the kedusha of it. When the Beis HaMikdash owns it, it's kadosh. It has a kedusha. If you use it, there's me'ilah. But I could transfer that kedusha to money. Why? Because it's only kedushas damim. Rabbi says Shaila, just a question that we're going to see on Amud Beis. Let's say a person was about to light Hanukkah candles with regular candles. What do they call those? The wax candles. The colorful ones that say on the box 46 or whatever it says on it. You know what we used when we were kids? Wax candles. Hanukkah candles. I like that better. He's about to. He didn't make the bracha yet. He set it up by the window, and then all of a sudden his wife says, "Oh, I remember we have some olive oil. Should he switch it out?"
Yeah, sure.
No, yes. Okay, the Geshmak. Okay, at least we have 2 shitas over here. What if a guy bought a beautiful esrog, top? He paid $500 for his esrog, and all of a sudden a guy comes in and says, "You know what? I have a nicer esrog." Most people, what would they do? It's like, "Listen, I'm done. Like 3 days before, I already have mine. I'm good. No, but I have a nicer one." Like, now, if you were searching for your esrog and you're still looking, you probably would have bought the nicer one. But I already have it in the box. I already have it at home. Should you or should you not upgrade?
For
Shabbos.
Yeah. The same machlokes.
No.
Every day. Do you get better every day? Get a better.
So we have a raya from our sugya today. All right. So, says the Gemara, Elamiata. So what are you telling me? The K'tairis doesn't have such a high kedusha of kedushas aguf. It only has kedushas damim. Elamiata like the puzzle, but if so, only something that has the high kedusha of kedushas aguf could become puzzle when a tvul yoim touches it. What's a tvul yoim? Tvul yoim is like a guy like Yossi Klein. No, this is not Yossi Klein. Let's go back. Let me just explain what it is. Every time a person is tamei, they have to go to the mikvah. But when they go to the mikvah, they don't become completely tar until nightfall. So there's an in-between period where he went to the mikvah removed some of his tumah, not all, and then he has to wait for nightfall. And when it's nightfall, then it's completely removed. There's another step. Sometimes, let's say a mitzayra or a yoledis, let's say, a woman who gave birth, she has to bring a carbon. Now the carbon you can only bring in the morning. So she has another step. She mikvah night, but she still has to bring a carbon, so it's called mechusar kippurim. She's still tamei until she brings that carbon. But a person who's a full yoim is not a full tamei. All he can do is he can't make something tamei, he can make something pasul. So it says Gemara, how can K'tairis, well, you just established that K'tairis, the top words of the Amud is Kedushas Damim. If so, if it has a lower degree of Kedusha, only Damim, not Guf, how could a person who already went here, let's see the thing, give a kick. Shalom Aleichem. Where are you guys from? The Shevuos. Shalom Aleichem. Here, this is a Tful Yoim. Now that it became dark, he becomes tar. Before it became dark, he touched the K'tairis. By the way, Stam as Yoshi did one of these, I'll just show you. These things take a long time. I don't know about the raisin part, but everything else. It's in the Kli Sharis, he's showing that it becomes a lot of cinnamon. Yeah, cinnamon is one of them. Yeah, it's a little quicker than this. Okay. So, and then you take this and you put it on this. This is that 4 foot tall mizbech that we have over there, the mizbech haktaris, twice a day. So, if it's only Kaddish B'Kedushas Damim, how could a person who went to the mikvah, but it's not nighttime, touched it, why does it become pasul? Alama Tanya, Nisana b'Machteshes, Nifseles b'Tful Yom. This is the Machteshes. Once you put it in this, it becomes pasul if this guy touched it. Very interesting thing, the Gemara said somewhere that Klal Yisrael found the Machteshes of Moshe Rabbeinu, but it had like a crack in it. So they repaired it. And what they noticed is, after they repaired it, the Ktaris wasn't coming out good. It didn't smell good. So they had to remove the repair of the crack, and they continued using it as is, and it went back to smelling good. So says the Gemara, so what do you see? That it's really, that the Ktaris is Kedushas Haguf, and that's why it becomes pasul. But maybe I'll say, well, who told you? Maybe it's Kaddish Kedushas Damim, and in fact, when a person who goes to the mikveh but it's not nighttime touches it, even though it's Kedushas Damim, it still becomes pasul. No, that I can't say. By the way, Tful Yom, where's Tful Yom? I'll tell you this. I was so excited, I finally caught up. I was behind 2 parashas or something from Ben Izmanim, so I caught up and everything I got, I did. And then, like a few minutes before Shabbos, one of my guests tells me it's a 2-week parasha. 2 parasha week. It's like, oh. But now, Baruch Hashem, I caught up. Next week also? Oh, that's going to be murder in the Jeep somewhere. Okay, so, yeah. So, Tful Yom, it's a big, we do need, does anybody want to volunteer to be like a doctor on our trip? We're looking. You have to be as good as Avi Factor, whatever that is. Anyway, Tful Yom is in our parasha, yeah? Tful Yom.
Maybe while you're down to the daf.
Kachur B'Kli Yushur really possible Tful Yom. Or B'Mechusar Kippurim. Oh, Mechusar Kippurim we spoke about. That's a person who's a Tful Yom who, let's just go quickly, this guy. He has to go, he's a Tful Yom. In other words, it's already nighttime, but he's still not tahar because he didn't bring a carbon. The next morning he'll bring a carbon. Ubelina. So, a person, sorry, it's not Amenachas, I think I skipped. Amenachas. If somebody brings a mincha, it's a type of a carbon, flour, Mayalim Bohen, Mishu Ugdeshu. If you use that mincha, you are over on the Isser of Me'ilah from the moment that somebody said this is Kaddish. Kaddish. Kachur B'Kli, Huchshuru, Lipasel B'Tful Yom. So you have something like this. Where is it? Hold on. Here's a guy. He has flour. So the first thing is Mishu Hugdeshu. What's Hugdeshu? This part right over here. Harei Kemach Zeh Hegdesh. He has a bag of flour. So it has a little Kedusha to it, but once he puts it in the Kli Sharis, then it becomes Mamish Kaddish. So again, Hamenachas, he takes the flour. You're over a Me'ilah, you're going to have to pay the Beis HaMikdash 25% more than it's worth. You're going to have to bring a carbon. From the moment he said it, he said that second. But once you go to the next step, Kachur B'Kli, you put it in the vessel, Huchshurli possible Tful Yom, then it becomes pasul, it becomes Tful Yom, even a Tful Yom touches it, becomes pasul, Ubelchus Kippurim, and the person who didn't bring a carbon touches it, becomes pasul, Ubelina, and if you leave it overnight, then this mincha becomes pasul. So the Gemara darshans Kachur B'Kli in. It's only because it went into that vessel. The second step in this picture, like Kachur B'Kli light. So you see that if it wasn't Kaddish B'Kedushas HaKli, the Kli gives it Kedushas HaGuf. If it was only Kaddish Kedushas Damim in step 1, yeah, here's step 1, right over here. This step, right over here, it would not be pasul. So that's a raya to the Gemara's question. If K'tairis is only Kedushas Damim, Kedushas Damim we just established does not become pasul. So how come we say that you could pasul Ketores even though it's Kedushas Damim? It's a right that Ketores is not Kedushas Damim, must be the higher Kedusha of Kedushas Aguf. Edelman. So what are you trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that Ketores is Guf, not Damim? It's Kedushas Aguf? Edelman, Kedushas Agufi? It also doesn't work out. Edelman, the possible Lina. So why is it that I can make Ketores in the beginning of the year and it stays on the shelf for 354 days straight, and I can use it every day, and it's not possible because I made it 350 days ago. Every night you should have to make new Ketores because the night makes it possible. And we learned hakoymetz v'alavoyno v'ktores u'minchas kohanim u'minchas kohen meshuach. It's koymetz. Tell me which one you like more. This is the old one, kmitza. This we had by Saita, we just had it recently. Okay. This is a whole, it's taking a little longer than it's the wrong direction what he did. That's the old-fashioned one. Now, take a look at this one, old kmitza. This one he worked on for 5 hours. It was incredibly difficult. AI wouldn't give him what he wanted, and you have to manipulate. And okay, this one has something that's very nice to it, but I'm not so excited about it because his hand's open in the middle. Because take a look. What do you think? He went in, the way he went in is better, but his hand's open in the middle. Okay, anyway, we have to make it a little bit better. Fine. So that's kmitza. Once you do that kmitza, I got levina here from my good friend Jonathan Stefansky, my relative. This is levina, frankincense. Maybe we should, it says over here, mefurish, frankincense, resin, incense. We should, maybe we should get a better bag. It's hard to see. Okay. Bacteris. This is what we're talking about, Ketores. U'minchas kohanim, the mincha that the kohen has to bring. U'minchas kohen meshuach. Oh, we have an updated kohen meshuach. Rabbi say, check this out. Look at this. Pouring oil on his head, on the kohen gadol to make him a kohen gadol. So he brings a mincha. When a kohen meshuach brings a mincha. U'minchas nesachim. And the mincha that goes together with the wine, here's wine. Mayalim behem yeshua gdushu. You're over on Me'ila, you would have to bring the special carbon Me'ila for and pay the base extra 25% on top of everything else that you used. Mishugdishu. Once it goes into the vessel, Huchshuru lipasel, listen to this. Huchshuru lipasel b'tful yom. Then once it goes into the vessel, it becomes pasul if a tful yom touches it. Ubemechusar kippurim ubelina. What does it say, like 2 lines from the top? When it comes to Ketores, the only thing that passes it is Tful Yom. It doesn't say anything about Lina. Why does, over here it says Lina, and before it doesn't? Kitchubikli in, like Kitchubikli lai. Akopanim, you see over here that the Kli Shares doesn't make it Kaddish Kedushas Aguf. So, says the Gemara. Omar lei lina k'amris. You asked me a question. How come before it doesn't say lina? Now it says lina. Lina's shani k'tayris hoyel b'tzuras v'chol hashana kula. You're right. Lina, leaving it overnight doesn't make k'tayris possible. Why? Because k'tayris is different than everything else. K'tayris stays as is. It's like honey. It doesn't spoil. Varaya, you make it once in the beginning of the year. It lasts the whole year. So since it doesn't spoil and it stays as is, lina doesn't affect it. So you don't ask me a question about lina. But it's very interesting. There is a case that Ketores would have a lina problem, says Rashi. There is one case. Again, Ketores you make in the beginning of the year, and it lasts the whole year. And there's no lina. But there is a case of lina. How? Last day of the year. No. Any day. It's a riddle. Any day of the year, there's a problem with lina. How? If you take it from the Kli Shares, and you pour it into another Kli, that Kli is the one that you pour into the Mizbeach. Once it's in that special Kli that you pour it onto the Mizbeach, the final Kli, then it could be possible lina. That's Xeri de Rabbanan, says Rashi. Alko Panavayfen. What do we have here? Mikol Mogim Kashya. We have Rav Chis's question. Rabbi Yochanan said a halacha on a tamid. You see a tamid, I could take the kedusha saguf and transfer it into cash. Rav Chizda asked the question, so we brought a raya from Ketayers. Ketayers, you could also take the kedusha saguf, transfer it to cash. The bottom line is, but how? How does it work? I need to know how it works. Okay, you brought me another raya. Okay, and you could do it even in the most severe way, and even when it's a tzibur, it's owned by the community. But why? I'm a rabbi, I'll tell you why. Leiv, Bezdin, Masna Alein. There's a special condition that when you bring these carbon tamid, there's a condition that the heart of Bezdin does. It doesn't mean literally they stand there with a book and they say, Hareinu, Masnim, Shekol, Tamid. It means this is how it's done. When I bring the tamid to the Beis HaMikdash, when I bring Ketar to the Beis HaMikdash, I know that at the end of the year I'm going to have 4 left over, so I'm doing it on condition that I could use it for other purposes. That I could redeem it, I could transfer the Kedusha, etc., etc. There's some fascinating halachas that are negeh to us, mamish to us, with leiv bezdin masna aleim. For instance, can you throw an arava, a used arava, after you do a shanas, on top of an aron kodesh? Very problematic. You see that it's a minhag and everybody does it. How are you allowed to do that when the Aron Kodesh has tremendous kedusha? It houses a Sefer Torah. For instance, are you allowed to put those weekly parsha sheets on a bima? Are you allowed to put the tzedakah box on the bima? Are you allowed to lean on a bima? Are you allowed to go like, no, there's no heter for it. So the only heter is that if right before Kriyas Torah you put out like some sort of table, the covering of the bima, so you're not really using the bima. These newsletters go on the wood and you put a cover. But if let's say the cover's there all week, like many shuls, then it's very problematic. The only way to get out of it is if you make some sort of very serious tnai bezdin. You make a tnai, you say, listen, I'm doing it. For instance, another thing, this room right here. So when we built it, we had to say, we said specifically, we don't have a room to eat in. So how can you eat? How can you make a kiddush in this base measures? It's a shul, it's a base measures. So you have to make a tnai. It's not so simple. It's not. But these are things that you have to like think about. There's a lot of So the bima, the aron kodesh, the shul. What else, Rabbi Schoenberg?
That's why you call it a shibul. It's specifically not based on call it a shibul in your house.
I don't know if it works by how you call it. They're there all day and all night.
Originally, when you build it, you have that in mind.
I would rather just call the food Sefer Torah, and I'm eating a Sefer Torah, and you're allowed. Okay, whatever. If you call things, you're allowed to call.
We made it now that you can learn here.
Exactly. We made it. This is a kiddush room. We made it tonight. They're allowed to learn. The Edelman lets us learn here once in a while. Yeah, like in Kiristir. It's America. There's a lot of food. Based on tafshel. Happens to be. We do all this stuff here. Okay. What? The Sefer Torah. Yeah. You can't use it at all. So what do you do? So you have to be careful with it. So you say, I could do stuff with it. Could I put my cup of coffee on it? Probably not. It has a kedusha. Okay. So, again, what's Rabbi's answer? Rabbi's answer is that the reason why tamid you could redeem, you could transfer, and so Torahs, is because there's a special condition here as you make a kaddish. Amazing halacha here. If somebody takes a male goat and says, I want this goat to be kaddish to the Beis HaMikdash, but I don't want the Beis HaMikdash to use it as a carbon. I want the Beis HaMikdash to sell it and use that money for a carbon. We say, too bad. Too bad. I try to make it as a carbon, as money to the Beis HaMikdash, but this itself is available as a carbon, so this itself, we're going to grab it and make it a carbon. If so, certainly in our sugya, where it was a carbon, how could I make it into a non-carbon? You hear what he's asking? Even something that I want it to be non-carbon automatically transfers into a yes carbon. So if something is a yes carbon, how am I going to take it out of a yes carbon and make it a non-carbon? Like kasha. That's not a good kasha. When the guy was donating his male goat to the Beis HaMikdash, he said, I want it to be specifically money to buy another carbon, like a oila. But over here he says, I'm donating this animal so that you could sell it for and use it for the main Yissacher, for a lower level Kedusha. Same thing with the Tamid. Same thing with the Ketores. I'm donating the Ketores and the Tamid that when I'm done, I could transfer it and do something. I could put the wallpaper, it's not paper, wall gold, and the Kodesh HaKadoshim is made out of, the walls are made out of gold, panels of gold, small, thin thing. That's what I'm donating for. So it's a lower Kedusha, and that's why it works. There was a bull that they used to shecht in the Beis Hamikdash for the Kohen Gadol, different bulls, and the goat, she'avdu, they ran away. Now you're stuck. Yom Kippur, you don't have a bull, you don't have a goat. What do? You make another one. You grab another one from the pen, and you say, okay, this is instead. And of course, 22 minutes later, they show up. Now what do? The Sanhedrin said, you're allowed to kiss the guest, whatever they said. They made a mistake in the halacha. They told Klal Yisrael, you're allowed to do something that has to do with Avodah Zarah. And so you bring this goat to fix the problem, she'avdu, and it got lost and ran away. And you purchased another one instead of it, and then you find it. So now you have a problem. You can't bring two chatois. It's a chatos. You can't bring two chatos. Kula yamusu divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Let me just get here for a second, Gary. This is the Batimna. Whoever wants to remember this, there are 5 chatois that die. I remember Dr. Epstein had a problem with this years ago. I'm talking about like 5 years ago when we first learned it. He was like, wow, that's tough. It's cruel. But that's how it is. You take the chatos. If this chatos, the baby chatos, or you transfer the chatos, or here, chatos and skabru balel, the red one. That's what we're talking about. You already have another one instead. You didn't know that you lost it. You brought another one, and you already brought it on the mizbeach. What are you going to do with it? You take it, you put it into a room, and you don't feed it, and it dies. Kulam yimus, it's a halacha l'Moshe Messina. We don't understand it. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Oimrim, Yiru actually stop. We have a better idea. Let them graze on their own. Don't take care of them, but let them free, and they'll probably one day they'll break a leg or something. Once they break a leg, then v'yimachru, then you could sell it. V'yiplu d'meim l'nedava, then I could transfer the kedusha into money, and I'll take that money and give it to the nedava. What's nedava? Hold on, let's just do this. The turning of the daf, Kenovations LC in honor of our sons Kalman Yisrael for learning Sanhedrin, Makis, and Shevuos with Reb Eli. Wow. Sanhedrin, Makis, and Shevuos. 3 Meseptas for a 9-year-old. Adar Global, still experts in international financial services, anonymous, in honor of the tzaddik, whose name we cannot say, who shows us what it means to be a giver and a tzaddik. So, there's something called Rabboisai. We don't. What?
A Renaissance now, tzaddik.
No, it's not me. You're mixing it up. That's somebody we don't mention his name. It rhymes with dark Sephardi. That's what came out. That's going to stick?
It's dark Nazi.
What? Baruch, I hope you Michael. Dark. Anyway, there's something called Kates HaMizbeach. Kates HaMizbeach. There shouldn't be a lull time on the Mizbeach. There should always be a carbon on Mizbeach. So if we have extra money, we don't know what to do with it, the Kohanim go ahead and they buy these karbanos and they put it on the Mizbeach at a low time. Okay, Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael is not doing Averis, nobody's the Chachatas, and now we're at the you run to the pen, Nidava. You take a Kates HaMizbeach. Shein Chatas Tzibur Mesa, he argues, no, you don't put him in the pen and let him die. He argues, he says, no, you let it graze, sell, money, you buy a carbon with it. Ask Gemara, but according to you, that Bezin can make a condition, what's the problem? Bezin can make any condition they want. Why let it die? Why let it graze and befall a mum? Anytime you have an extra chatos that got lost and you had to replace it with another chatos and then it shows up, now you have a chatos you can't do anything with. Bezin agrees that you could redeem it with money. Why do you have to let it die? We did it with the Talmud, do it with the Chattas. What's the difference? Says Gemara, Avudim Kamers. You're talking about something that got lost. How often does it get lost? Once every 22 years. Shani Avudim lo yishchichi. It never happens. So there's no reason for Bezin to make conditions. But a Talmud and Ketores, think about it. Not only does it happen, it has to happen. It has to happen that there's at least 4 extra Tamidim every year. And it has to happen that there's 11 mana extra every year. We make 368 mana, and the kids do the whole cheshbon. There's always leftover at the end of the year. It has to be. So Bezin knows that there's going to be leftover, so they make a condition that you could transfer it into money. So ask the Gemara, now we go into a whole new sugya. Hare para de l'ishchicha. This is the para aduma. Para aduma is, in those days we used to be makbid on tuma of a mace. You go to Levaya, everybody that went to Levaya was close to the mace, touched the mace, was in the 4 amas. You have to, in an oil, whatever it is, in a house, you're in a hospital, there's a mace there, you have to get sprinkled by the ashes of a paraduma. Paraduma has to be completely red. Some people say it means the brown cows that we have today, but you can't have 2 white hairs on it or any type other color hair. So it's very, very rare. In fact, there's only 7 of them in the entire history. From Moshe Rabbeinu all the way to Ezra, which is, I don't know how many years, there's only 1. Moshe Rabbeinu's, and that's it. Ezra's the next one. So it's super rare. And then what do? They make a huge pile of wood, maybe even larger than this, giant pile, because this is also like, it's a pit over here. You don't really see how deep it goes. And then you shech the paraduma on Har Zaysim. They're standing on Har Zaysim right over here, and they could see the Beis Hamikdash from Har Zaysim. That's the viewpoint from there, the vantage point. They take the paraduma, put it on top of the pile of wood, and they burn the paraduma with the wood. All the wood becomes the ashes of the paraduma. So now I have ashes for 500 years. I keep those ashes, I send them out to all the different cities, and everybody who becomes tummy, on the 3rd day, when they go to the mikveh, they go to the mikveh. On the 3rd day, they have to have a sprinkle. I once did it, and I was trying to sprinkle Reb Noam, and I hit Rabbi Schoenberg by mistake. Remember that one? I don't do that anymore. The sprinkle. On the 7th day also, sprinkle. But it's so rare, it's even more rare than an animal getting lost, yet you're able to redeem it. So you see, redeeming and rareness has nothing. They're not connected. Even something that's rare, you can redeem. So what are you telling me that an animal that gets lost, you can't redeem because it's rare? Hare para de l'ishchicha. Para is so rare. V'tanya para nifdes al kol psul shel ba. The para aduma you can redeem for anything. It has a little tiny mum. You redeem it. Mesa tipada. If it drops dead without shchita, redeem it. What are you going to do with it, Rabbi Yisrael? What are you going to do with it? It dropped dead. What are you going to redeem it? For what? What are you going to do with the animal? The only thing that we can come up with is its skin. Nishchata, if it was already, even the paradum was shechted, tipada, you can still redeem it to the last moment. Motzacheres na'imena, tipada. Oh, if you find something nicer than it, you find a nicer, bigger, gezunta paraduma, switch it out at the last moment. So here, Shimshon Pinker says, you see, if you have a nice esrig, get another one. Same thing if Neres Chanukah. He doesn't talk about Neres Chanukah. Others talk about Neres Chanukah. There's another similar halacha to this somewhere else in Shas. Motza acheres na'im mimena. What?
Also give more.
No, yeah, but that's also.
Yeah.
I'm talking about heter. If you're married, do not play this in front of your wife. It says, it was Rabbi Kiva or Rabbi Silo. If you find, no, I'm not. I'm talking about if you find a better wife, you're allowed to divorce her. You're allowed to divorce her. So they say, no, forget what? Basila, I think it's Basila. This is Rabbi Kiva? Rabbi Kiva, okay, it's Rabbi Kiva. Go, get a Gemara. I don't remember. He remembers a lot better than me. I remember something about Basila, but it's Rabbi Kiva. Fine. So, but what's the pshat of it? They explain, because if you couldn't divorce her for any reason, so then nobody would marry a divorced woman. Because the only reason you're allowed to... What is it? Daf Tzadik. Wow. He knows the daf, he knows the place. Unbelievable. Rabbi Kiva. So they say, because for Keret, if he would say you can only get divorced if she did something terrible, So then she would never get married. Nobody would ever marry her. You're divorced, so you did something terrible, so I can't marry you. What if you can divorce somebody even for that's the Mishnah that says that even if she burns her food, born in the first, yeah.
Burns her food. But Shammai says if she cheated on him, and the Akiva says if she... No,
got it. Okay. Agabanim. For Pesach only. But once you shechted on this pile of wood over here, then you can no longer redeem it. But you see that you can redeem a paraduma. Says Gemara Shani para the kochi bedek abayisi. That's the whole thing that I said all the way in the beginning. You believe it or not, the whole paraduma has very low kedusha. Only the kedusha of like a horse that's owned by the Beis Hamikdash. Doesn't have the kedusha of a carbon, and mainly you can redeem something that's called kedusha bedek abayis. So how could you redeem a paraduma that died? There's the pasuk that says yeah? What does vehemid mean? You have to stand it up. Now, I don't know if you ever tried, but take a dead animal and try to stand them up. It's kind of difficult. And Memela Hamada doesn't work. So how do you redeem it? To transfer the kedusha, you have to stand them up and assess the value. It goes according to Reb Shimon. So we must say that it goes according to Reb Shimon. Only according to Reb Shimon, because Reb Shimon holds you don't have to stand them up. This standing up is talking about something that has kedushas aguf, not kedushas bedek abayis. So the Gemara says, very simple question. It cannot. I'll prove to you that it can't be Reb Shimon, because according to Reb Shimon doesn't fit into the rest of the Mishnah. What does it say? We just learned that if you shecht the paraduma on top of the pile of wood like this, you cannot redeem it. And Reb Shimon says you could redeem it, so it can't be Reb Shimon. You take the meat of a mouse, check this out, and we took out the plate. So we're kind of b'shinoi. It's paraduma. If the paraduma touches the sheretz, it becomes tamei. Now the question is why? The halacha is that in order to become tamei, you have to be edible. It has to be something that you're allowed to eat. A paraduma you're not allowed to eat. So how does it become tamei? So he answers, para mitama tumasachim. It becomes tamei. Because there's once upon a time before, all the way in the beginning, when you're able to redeem it, 20 minutes ago, when you shechted it, when you brought it there, you're able to redeem it, and it was edible at that point, so it's considered edible now as well. Edible enough that it becomes tamei. The Panovich Rav, you know what, let me just tell you this, before the Panovich Rav. I received the email yesterday. It says like this: I'm a Magachir in Tzvi for 6 years, and I want to tell you a great story of a kiss from Hashem. Basically, he had to go away for Shabbos, and he asked somebody to fill in for him, and the guy let him down, didn't fill in. He's very disappointed. It was the first daf of Shevuos. So he comes back and he says, "What happened? You didn't give the shir. So what happened? Was the shir?" He says, "Rob, you're not going to believe it. We didn't know what to do. Nobody's here to give the shir." All of a sudden, a Rebbe from the Cheder or whatever walks in. His name is Reb Shlomo, and he said, "You know, we need somebody to give a shir. Could you give us the shir?" He says, "What are you learning?" He says, "Daf Yomi." Where's Daf Yomi holding? He says, "Shevuos Daf Beis Amud Aleph." So the guy says, "Sure." He starts saying the Mishnah Baal Peh. As he's walking, he gets to the seat. He says, "No problem." And he says the whole thing. He's saying it Baal Peh. So the guy thought, "Wow, this guy's a genius." He says, "No. I once wanted to learn Shas Baal Peh, so I started by Shevuos, and I repeated that daf 30 times, but that's the only daf I ever learned." There's only one daf in his life. So I got this email. I'm not exaggerating. Also, a kiss from Hashem. As I'm learning this, and I remembered there's a meiser from the Panovich Rav. The Panovich Rav came back from America with a lot of money. He's super excited. He felt, he has all this money. So he calls his Talmidim Panovich and he says, "Whoever could repeat one daf of Gemara, one amud of Gemara Baal Peh, I'll give him $100." So Baruch comes over and he says this daf right over here. What does it say here? Para mitama tumasoichlim hoyel v'hoysa Allah shasa koisha. That's what we just learned a second. Oh, So this is the problem with this daf is the reason why it's so long, so short, is because it's this giant taisus. You see this taisus? Yeah. Calm down. Now look at the taisus over here. The same taisus over here. Para metamatum asoichlin. Look at taisus over here. Mefirish bebakim acher. It went from this to 3 words. I love it. And it says basically, look over there. We just learned, we're over, in a way we're over on one of the big isurim of Daf Yomi, which is to learn more than a daf. We just learned a daf and a half because here, we just did a whole amud. It all fits in. That guy knew a whole amud, old daf balpeh. This guy, and here it is, the whole amud in one shot. And Rabbi Shlakish says, Rabbi Shimon holds that you could redeem this paraduma even when it's on the wood. And we just said you cannot redeem the paraduma when it's on the wood. So this cannot go according to Rabbi Shimon. But the only one that says that you don't need to stand up the animal is Rabbi Shimon. So what are we going to do? It doesn't work. So we have to come up with a new teretz. Elashani para hoyel v'domeh yikarim. This is the obvious answer. A guy in Kfar Hasidim just had a few years ago, he had a paraduma. Somebody offered him over $1 million. A chassid from Birevach said, I want to buy the paraduma. I want this chus. If Mashiach comes tomorrow, I want to be the guy donating it. $1 million. He says, no, I want this chus. He wouldn't take $1 million. And 9 months later, the paraduma died. No, I don't know. I have no idea. But it's very expensive. Oh, it's very expensive. So because it's super expensive and very rare, that's why Chachamim made a special condition that if we have to redeem it, we redeem it. If it drops dead, you redeem it. What are you going to do with it? You're going to take the meat and give it to the dog? It's an avelo. You can't eat it. It didn't have shechita. You're right. There's nothing to do with it. Just its hide. For a little hide, you're going to bring the bezdin to come and assess how much the value is. There's a saying, if the only thing you left over from a camel is its ear, good. The only thing left over from this multi-million-dollar cow is its hide. Okay, the hide is also, we have to talk about the hide. People are going to hang it or whatever. It said in the Mishnah, what if I take, here, to remind the Olam, I didn't do this in Hebrew, but this is Gevaldik. Remember all the different, you have different karbanas. You have the regel, yantif, you have Rosh Chodesh. What does Rosh Chodesh come for? Tar, shachal, tameh. What does regel come for? There's no yediyah, not in the beginning, not at the end. So what if I take a Rosh Chodesh karban that's designated, and I want to use it for yantif? What does he say? You could use one for the other. Look, they come for different things. This is for tar shachal tameh. This is for ein yediyah but tchil v'soif. It's one category. It's tumah. Each one is different. What? Yeah. Damai. Ask Gemara, Lema, why? What's the problem with Rav Shimon? Lema, bezin masna leim. The bezin can make any condition they want, and that's why you can use from one yontif to the other. Rav Shimon Kamris. Rav Shimon Leslie live bezin masna leim. He doesn't even hold of that whole thing. The Omer Rav Eli Barov and Omer Rav Amram. This is how we're going to finish. Omer Rabbi Yochanan. That's how we started the whole sugi. If you have extra tamid, you don't know what to do with. The Rav Shimon ein nivdim tamimim. He holds that there's no left bezin masna leim. You cannot redeem them. The Duvie Chachamim, which is like we learned from Rabbi Yochanan, nivdim tamimim. You could. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.